Hey guys, what is up? It is Allie. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. So I don't usually do videos exactly like this on my channel. I'm usually just a makeup based review tutorial kind of channel. Very rarely do I throw out a little bit of a story time, but today is going to be kind of like a story time. So being that I am a young single woman, I totally just missed that hair flip. Oh my goodness. Being that I'm a young single woman, sometimes, very rarely, but on the occasion, I go out on dates, and seeing that I am still single, clearly those dates haven't gone too well. What actually inspired this video, well, I've been wanting to do this video for a while. I've had it like as a note in my phone with like different stories, but like what really inspired this video today was I got a text from a guy I used to date this morning. It wasn't anything like crazy. He was just actually being nice and congratulating me on my success here on YouTube. So yeah, that was very nice of him. I don't have a story about him actually because he was actually a really decent guy. It just didn't work out. Anywho, very long intro. I am so sorry. Hi Turbo. What are you doing? Good boy. So because I live in a small town and most of these people are from the said area, at least like a 30-mile radius, I don't want to give any actual names just for privacy purposes and because I'm not trying to get sued. And also most of these stories originate from Tinder because Tinder is just like the plethora of like bad dates and bad dating and just awkward conversation in general. So yeah, most of these story times are from Tinder. Don't judge me. Your girl just needs some help in love life. Also, I thought it'd be like super funny today to wear an ex-boyfriend's t-shirt for this video because what else would you wear for a horrible dating story video? Like, really, come on. So yeah, thank you to the ex-boyfriend who never got his shirt back because it's like the perfect apparel for this video. Hi, baby boy. You want to be in the video? Yeah, because these bad dates affect you too. We're trying to find you a daddy. So this first dating story is about a guy I met on Tinder. Since I don't want to give his real name, we're just gonna call him Texas because that's where he's from. But we're in Illinois right now. I don't know where he is actually right now, but at the time we were both in Illinois. Anywho, so I matched with Texas on, I think it was Tinder, maybe it was Bumble, I don't know. But me and him matched, we messaged a couple times. And he asked me if I wanted to come over and hang out with him, which I did. And you know, the first time I met him, nothing was really crazy. We had like a little fire outside of his house. He seemed like a really cool dude, you know, nothing out of the ordinary happened with this event. And so me and him hung out a couple more times, again, nothing crazy. When we did hang out, he always like was drinking a beer, but you know, since I am around, you know, in my young 20s, it makes sense for a guy that I'm talking to who's also in his young 20s to be drinking a beer. I drink occasionally, so like him drinking a beer when I was over wasn't like the craziest thing in the world to me. Like it wasn't that big of a deal. But every time I came over to his house, he was drinking, but like he was never like super drunk. He was just always drinking an alcoholic beverage, okay? He offered me one too, but I never did it because I just don't drink often. I definitely don't casually drink. If I'm drinking to get wasted, not to just like casually have a beer. Like, no, that's not me. I'm doing it to get effed up, okay? Anywho, so me and him hung out a couple times at his place, and then finally we decided to go out like on a real date, like go to a restaurant, you know, whatever. So me and him decided that we're gonna go eat at Chili's together because I am definitely not like a classy person. Clearly, if you've been on my channel for a while now, you know that. I don't really like fancy things. I'm totally cool with going to Buffalo Wild Wings, Chili's, anything, you know, inexpensive and has good greasy food. That's just the kind of girl I am, okay? So me and him decided that we're gonna go to Chili's for our little, you know, date or whatever. And before we go to Chili's, I'm gonna go over to his house, hang out with him for a little bit, and then we're gonna go to Chili's and, you know, come back to his house, and then, you know, come back to his house afterwards. I pull up to his house. He's, of course, you know, just drinking a beer, living his best life. But yeah, he's drinking a beer. I don't really think anything of it because if it's just one beer, like, he's okay to drive. You know, like, I don't know, one beer isn't gonna make you too messed up to drive, especially with the amount of alcohol that I have seen him consume before. Clearly has a bit of a tolerance, so I was like, whatever, he's just drinking a beer beforehand. Not that big of a deal. He just got off work, you know, he wants to unwind a little bit, whatever. So he's drinking his beer or whatever, and then he goes to his fridge and he grabs a couple more beers, and I'm just like, well, that's weird, we're leaving. Like, are you just gonna chug them all down like the next 3 minutes because we're going? Like, what are you doing? He tells me that he's taking these for the road, okay? And in my head I'm like, well, that's strange, like we're going to a restaurant that serves alcohol, but okay, whatever. So we get into his truck, we're driving to Chili's. And I tell you, this drive is like maybe 7 minutes long. Like 7 minutes is like the longest this drive is. But he decides, as we're driving, through the city that he's gonna just open up a cold one and just drink it in the car with me in there. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I was just so like baffled in that moment, because who just casually just drinks a beer as they're driving, taking this girl they barely know to a dinner date? Like, good impression, good impression. So yeah, he's just drinking his little Bud Light or whatever in the car as we're driving to Chili's. I'm like, okay, like, I guess that's how it's gonna be. And then we pull up to Chili's, he parks, and he opens another one, and he is like, I'm gonna drink this before we go inside because it's cheaper to drink before you go somewhere than to drink at a place. And I'm like, you know, that does make sense when you're going out to like a bar and like you're partying with your friends, but not when you're going on a date with a girl that you're trying to, you know, have a future with. And I don't know. It was just weird. But I just kind of sat there, played on my phone while he drank his third alcoholic beverage that I've seen so far in the past, like, you know, 30 minutes I've been with this dude. So we go inside Chili's, we, you know, sit down and we go to order our drinks. I get a water and he gets a Bud Light. What a shocker, honestly. So he drinks his Bud Light. I don't say anything because really it's just not my place to be like, oh, why are you drinking so much alcohol? Especially since I don't really know him that well. Like, we hung out maybe 3 times. This is our first official date. Like, I can't be like, why are you getting drunk? Like, I can't be that person. I am not ballsy enough to be that person. So I just kind of sat there, let him drink, you know, his like 4th, but I think we're on the 4th Bud Light of the night. Yeah. So let him drink his thing. We have a good conversation. You know, it's a decent date, like nothing wrong. And he continues to drink, I think, another one or maybe 2 more beers, not too sure. And, you know, he has to drive us home, but he literally is acting completely fine. And I don't want to be that person to be like, give me your keys, strange boy. Like, I let him drive us back to his place. Again, it's only a 7-minute ride, just across town, so I was like, whatever. Back into his car, and he has another Bud Light in the car, but he doesn't open that one. And as we're driving along, I notice he has like this big thing in his car, and it's like dinging, like every time, like every so often. It's just like making this weird dinging sound. And I was like, dude, what's this big contraption? Why is it dinging? Like, what's going on? He's like, oh, that's my police radar. And I was like, what? Maybe that's not what he called it. Maybe he called it something different, but it's basically like this big machine, and it can tell when like there's a cop within like a 5-mile radius, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, is that even legal? He's like, yeah, it's legal, but if you have one, you ever get pulled over, I recommend hiding it. And I was like, why would you hide it if it's not illegal? He's like, well, because if a cop sees you have one, you're definitely not getting out of that ticket. I'm like, okay, fair enough. And I was thinking about it, I'm like, why? Who is getting pulled over that often that they feel the need to have a giant contraption in their car to warn them when police are around? Like, I feel like you have to be up to a lot of bad things or like doing a lot of illegal activity anyways to have that big contraption in your car. But like, I don't know, maybe that's something everyone else has in the world and I just don't. I'm not with the trends, you know? I don't know. So yeah, we get back to his place and I decided that I don't really want to hang out with this dude much longer. I just want to go home. So I tell him that, you know, I have to study for my anatomy test the next day and that I really need to get home. He's like, oh, okay, I understand. And then I left and then I never talked to this dude ever again. Yeah, that was my date with an alcoholic. Using the term alcoholic very loosely, but okay. Moving on to my next story. This one's a little bit shorter because it was like a one-time interaction. But this dude, I have like my little like handy dandy notes here, and then I just have this one called Catfish Tinder Date. Okay, so I'm just, you know, casually swiping on Tinder one night, and I come across this profile, and it's like a really attractive guy. Like, he's like buff, and he seems tall, and he's got like, you know, short blonde hair. I just think he's very, very attractive, you know, just typical standard hot dude type. And he was about my age. I think he was like 21, 22 in his profile. At least like that's what the age said. And he was from the area of where I work. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll swipe right. Whatever. So we swipe right, we match, we message on Tinder back and forth a little bit, and then he asked for my number, I give him my number, and we text back and forth for a while too. After texting for I think like only like a day and a half, he asked if we could hang out, and I thought that was like a little soon because I like to get to know somebody a little bit before I meet them in person because I just think it's safer that way, honestly. But anyways, he asked me if we could hang out, and I really didn't have anything going on that day, so I was like, you know what, sure, let's just hang out. So I get ready at my house, I drive up to where he lives, and I pull up to his place. So I pull up to the street that his apartment building is on, and he lives on like a college like campus apartment kind of thing. If you know anything about college campus apartments, they have like certain parking for people who live in the facility, and then they have other parking for people who are just like visiting, or sometimes they don't even have parking for visitors. Like, you just have to kind of park somewhere where you're allowed to park legally, you know? So I pull up to the street he lives on, and he says that he'll meet me outside and tell me where to park because I can't park in front of the building or in this certain parking lot because it's for residents only, and I'll get my car towed. So he is standing outside, I'm looking, I'm like, this dude cannot be the guy that I matched with on Tinder. He looks nothing like his picture. Like, this guy was about maybe my height, which isn't really super short, but it's also not the way he looked in his pictures. Like, I'm only like 6'5", 5'7". This dude looked to be maybe 5'8" at most, and I was like, that doesn't look right. Like, already I'm just like, that's strange. And also, this guy had brown hair, and clearly in his pictures he had very blonde hair, like maybe like blonder than my hair, okay? Like, he had blonde hair in his pictures, and he also looked fairly muscular in his pictures. And it's not that like looks matter, like they don't. Like, you could totally fall for somebody that isn't the most attractive because they have like an amazing personality and X, Y, and Z. Like, looks don't matter that much at the end of the day. But on Tinder, like, all I have to really base this dude off of is his pictures. And so that's just kind of like a red flag number one. Like, you look nothing like your profile picture. Like, weird. Like, whose pictures were you using? Like, are you gonna murder me? I don't know. Let's find out. He gets in my car. He's like, hi, my name is, oh my god, what should we call him? Let's call him Cherry. Hi, my name is Cherry. And I'm like, oh, hi, my name's Allie. And like, so he directs me to this place where I can park my car. I park my car in this area, and then we walk back to the apartment complex. And I don't want to be like prissy sounding, you know, but this apartment complex was very, very sketchy. Like, it just didn't look the cleanest. It didn't look the safest. Like, there were people constantly going in and out, and they looked like really sketchy people. And again, I'm not trying to say that to like bash on him, but just, this is kind of like trying to like, I'm just trying to give you a feel for the setting I was in and the way I kind of felt in this moment, because I didn't feel the safest. So, walking up to his apartment complex, I'm seeing a bunch of sketchy people coming in and out. Going to his apartment, again, kind of looked a little sketchy, a little dusty, a little musty, a little crusty. But, you know, I'm just trying to be, like, open-minded and be like, you know what, whatever, like, he seemed really cool over text, like, so maybe he doesn't look exactly like his Tinder profile picture, like, whatever, like, we can make this work. Like, maybe he just had, like, really good pictures and he's not as cute in person. Because in person, he was short, a little chubby, but, like, same, you know, and had, like, brown hair and, like, a receding hairline. He just did not look like his pictures. But, you know, I was gonna just like give him the benefit of the doubt and see if he's a nice dude. So we go into his bedroom, and we're just sitting talking on his bed, and he's just a very awkward person. And, you know, like, I get, like, maybe he was nervous, like, it was the first time, like, meeting me, you know, I understand, like, being that type of way. He was just, like, saying things with a smile on his face that, like, most people wouldn't be that happy to be, like, saying. Like, it was, like, random, like, just normal sentences, and he was like all giddy and shit, and like he would like laugh really awkwardly afterwards. It was just really, really weird. And he kept calling me babe like after every other sentence, and I cannot stand being called babe by a dude I barely know. Like, if I'm on Tinder and someone messages me and they're like, hey babe, I instantly unmatch or just don't answer them, because like, you don't know me, don't call me babe. Like, get out of here. I don't know, I'm not that kind of girl. I don't like being called babe by dudes. I don't know, it's just rubs me the wrong way a little bit, okay? Just personal thing. But yeah, he called me babe every other sentence, and at this point, I'm just feeling really creeped out, really sketched out, really just like, I want to leave this place. Talking for a little bit, he's like, oh, do you want to watch some TV? And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. So he puts on Family Guy, which actually, I like Family Guy a lot, and I sat there and I watched it for a little bit, and I just felt really awkward and really, really uncomfortable, and I just felt really sketchy because he obviously lied about who he was in his Tinder profile. He was just being really awkward and creepy, and the area I was in was just really sketchy, so I was like, I gotta go. So I made up some lie saying my mom texted me and needed me to pick something up from the store and I need to be home by a certain time, so I just kind of lied and said like I had to leave. And he's like, oh, okay. And he walks me to my car like a gentleman, you know. After you catfish somebody, I feel like you should walk them to their car. It's only appropriate. And to make the story even worse and more awkward, where I parked was like on the side of a road, and there was no cars around me when I parked my car, and I was only in this place for maybe an hour, but there was no cars like on the road where I was parked. And when I got to my car, there was someone right in front of me with like this much space between my car and this car, and someone right behind me with like even lesser space between that car and my car. And I was like, I am the worst driver in the entire world. I am not gonna be able to pull out of this parking spot by myself. Like, I knew I would hit both cars in the process doing this alone. So I kind of just looked at him like, hey, I know like I'm leaving, can you help me like pull out of here, like just make sure I don't hit a car? And so for the next like 10 minutes, this dude is helping me pull out of my parking spot and like directing me. And I was just trying to get the heck out of there because I was just so uncomfortable, and he had to help me pull out of my parking spot, and it was just so awkward. And I'm just, only that would happen to me. Like, no one else would leave a sketchy situation and like have to have the sketchy like possible murderer help them pull out of their parking spot, you know, like that's just only gonna happen to me. Okay, so next story. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm about to tell this on the internet because it's just really awkward, and anybody that knows me and lives in my very small town is going to be able to figure this one out very quickly, but it's fine. So this story I have labeled as the time I matched with my teacher on Tinder. Okay. I know that sounds horrible by the title, like matching with your teacher. Like that literally sounds like the worst thing ever and sounds super illegal, super sketchy. But just like, we're gonna get into the story, you'll understand how it's not like as bad as it sounds, because it sounds like really awful right now. So anyway, sometimes when I'm on Tinder and I'm just really bored, like I'm bored, I need something to do, I'll just start swiping right to literally every profile and not even look at the profile. Like I will literally sit there and just swipe right until I'm out of swipes, because like Tinder I think only gives you like so many in like a 12-hour window. I don't really know. But I'll sit there and I will swipe right to literally everyone, not even look at the profile, just keep swiping right, because the more matches you get, I think the more people see your profile and like the higher chance you have of matching with someone like attractive. I don't really know how Tinder works. I was told that, so I'm like, you know what, I'll just swipe right to everybody. Just why not? If I don't like them, I can't match them. Not that big of a deal. So I'm swiping right to everybody. I'm getting like a bunch of matches because I'm just like so pretty, you know? Anyways, I'm swiping right, getting a bunch of matches, not really looking at the profiles, just swiping to swipe, you know? Just why not? Swiper, no swiping, just swipe. Okay, so I'm getting a bunch of matches. Finally, I run out of matches or swipes, and so I'm going through my matches, looking at them, reading messages I've gotten, because at this point I've gotten some very interesting messages because boys on Tinder have a very low standard, and just some of the things they said, it's just, maybe that could be like a whole other video, like random things I've gotten messages about on Tinder, because that video would be a good one. Anyways, I'm going through my matches, I'm looking at the profiles of these people just to see, you know, if I should unmatch them or, you know, message them, whatever. I go to this profile, and this person is only a couple years older than me. I think he was like 23. And it said that he worked at the high school that I went to just like 2 years ago. And I was like, I don't remember ever seeing this person there. Like, was he a janitor? Was he like a cafeteria worker? Like, was he like a coach? Like, who is this person? I went to a very small high school. Like, I'm talking 100 kids in my graduating class, small. Like, it was not a big high school. So for me to not know somebody that worked there would be very, very weird, because you know everybody's name. Like, you know the janitor's names, the lunch lady's names. Like, you just know who people are. And so for me to not know who this person was would be very, very strange. So I'm looking at his profile, and it says that he teaches at the high school, and that he's like, I won't want to say the subject because it's gonna be really weird if I say the subject, because it's already gonna be really obvious what this is. But anyways, he's saying that he teaches at the high school and blah blah blah, and I'm just looking, I'm like, who is this? My sister actually still goes to this high school. She's a few years younger than me, and so I showed her the profile. I'm like, who is this person? And she's like, oh my god, that's Mr. So-and-so. He's like a new teacher here. And I was like, oh my god. So that was just an awkward situation. She's like, he's not even cute. Why did you swipe right to him? I'm like, I didn't swipe right to him. I swiped right to everybody, and I just so happened to match with this person. And he had messaged me at this point already, and I felt so awkward that I quickly unmatched, because I matched with a teacher at the high school I went to just 2 years prior. Like, it was just really uncomfortable, and he wasn't really that cute. Again, I was just swiping right to everybody, didn't even really look at his profile when it came up. And so I just felt really, really awkward and really embarrassed, and yeah, if he sees this, I'm sorry that I'm just a piece of shit person and got your hopes up. Anywho. And also, don't think that like it's super weird, creepy that he matched me on his part, because he is only a couple years older than me. He like just graduated from college last year, I'm pretty sure. And you know, he wasn't my actual teacher. He just happened to teach at the high school I went to, but already had graduated from when he started teaching there. So like, he didn't actually even know that I went to that high school. Like, he had no like idea who I was. It was just funny that I saw that he worked at the high school I attended, and like, it was just funny, weird, awkward situation, and I just thought it'd be kind of funny to throw in here. I also might use that story for clickbait, and I'm so sorry if I do. And if I don't use that teacher story for clickbait, I am probably gonna use this next story for clickbait, because it's pretty clickbaity. So the next title of this one I have is Stalker T. I don't want to say this person's actual name, so I'm just gonna call him, oh my god, what should I name my stalker? This would be so fun. Let's call him Turnip. So this story actually involves two different dudes, which I know, I'm just hoeing it up, you know, two different guys. I mean, who do I think I really am? And I just want to say, calling someone a stalker is a very serious claim, and this person isn't actually like a stalker. He just had stalker tendencies, which it was really creepy, and I'll get into the story in just a second. But I don't want to say anyone's name, especially since I am like calling him a stalker, and he's not like really a stalker. He just really did some weird shit that he should never do to anyone else ever, because it's creepy. But, oh, actually, so I matched with my said stalker on Tinder. Let's call him Turnip. Me and Turnip match on Tinder. I don't know him, but like I knew of him. He lived in another small town about 15 minutes away from me, so I knew his name, I knew who he was, and when I saw his profile on Tinder, I was like, oh, like maybe he's a cool guy. Swipe right, whatever. We matched, we texted for like a night, I think, and I just stopped answering him because I didn't really feel like a good connection, which I mean, like, it's Tinder, like, am I really gonna feel a good connection ever? Probably not. We texted for like a night, and I really just wasn't feeling it. He really wasn't like the cutest person ever, which again, looks don't matter, but just for the conversation to be like duh and his looks to be like meh, I was like not really gonna answer anymore. So I stopped answering his text messages because I just wasn't feeling it anymore. And then the next night I'm on Tinder again, and I matched with another guy that I know of. He actually is from the small town I live in. He was just a few years older than me in school, so I didn't really like know him that well, but I knew of him. I knew like who he was and like things like that. So we're gonna call the second dude Apple. Me and Apple actually talked for a while, and we hung out quite a few times over a course of like I think 3 months. Like me and him actually like were a thing. We just never dated, and we never really like, I don't know. It's just like we just were a thing for a couple months. Ah, my earring's stabbing me, and it's not okay. So anyways, me and Apple are texting for, you know, a couple days at this point, and he texts me randomly one day, oh, so you used to talk to Turnip. Excuse me? No. Me and Turnip texted for a night, and that's why I replied to him like, yeah, we matched on Tinder and texted for like literally a night, and I stopped answering him. Why, do you ask? Because I was a little offended at this point that he like, I don't know, like we weren't talking even that long. Like we were texting for a few days, and he's like, oh, you used to talk to so-and-so. Like, mind your business. Why does it even matter who I used to talk to? I'm texting you right now, so why does it matter who I used to talk to? But anyways, he's like, oh, you talked to Turnip. And I was like, we texted for a night, and I never texted him back. But yeah, if you want to call that talking, go ahead. He was like, no, I really don't care. I was just messing around with you. Me and Turnip are actually really good friends. And when I mentioned I was texting you, he brought the fact that you and him used to talk. And I was like, it's kind of ballsy for Turnip to say that we used to talk when we literally texted for a night. Like, literally dead ass, like a 4-hour window, me and him texted. But yeah, sure, like, we used to talk, whatever. He was like, I really don't care. It's not that big of a deal. It was just funny that he brought it up. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. And, like, I thought that would be the end of the Turnip conversation with me and Apple because, again, me and the two texted for a night, and, like, clearly I liked Apple, and, like, why does it even matter at the end of the day if me and him texted for a night? Whatever. Me and Apple continued talking for like I think a week at this point, and he texted me one night. He's like, hey, can you pick me up from my buddy's house? We were all partying and drinking at his place, and I need a ride home because I'm not comfortable enough to drive. And I was like, yeah, sure, of course, I'll give you a ride. So I go pick Apple up. I have never met this person actually, like you know, like I've seen him around, like we went to the same high school, but like I have never actually like formally met this person. So I pick up Apple. He gets in my car, and he was like, hey, like, I'm Apple, like, nice to meet you, whatever. And we start driving. He's like, oh my god, I didn't even realize you just picked me up from Turnip's house. I'm like, of course I picked you from Turnip's house. And now Turnip knows what kind of car I drive. Great. And he kind of just laughed it off. He's like, yeah, he kind of mentioned you, and he keeps mentioning you every time, like, I'm around. Like, anytime Apple and Turnip hang out, like, Turnip always brings up the fact that Apple is texting me, and he seems like a little jealous about it. And I'm like, well, you know, like, it's whatever. Like, he can be butthurt all he wants. I don't like him. I like you. Like, whatever. So, and then he proceeds to tell me that when he was texting people asking for a ride, Turnip said, why don't you just text Allie? Like, why don't you text her for a ride? Like, And, oh, well, you know what? I actually might as well do that since you're clearly butthurt about this. So he texted me, asked me to pick him up. I picked him up, drove him to his place. I actually hung out with him a little bit at his house that night. And it was just like, whatever. He was a nice dude. Me and Apple go on, like I said before, to text and talk and hang out for the next couple of months. After about like a month and a half of me and Apple like being a thing or whatever, it became very apparent that Turnip was not happy with this. Like, he just was a little butthurt, always bringing my name up around Apple, like asking about me, and like it just was very apparent that he was a little upset that I chose Apple over him, which I mean, like, I understand to an extent, but like it wasn't that deep. Like nothing is like this deep at this point. Like me and Apple aren't even actually dating, we're literally just hanging out, and like I texted you for a night. Like none of this should be this big of a deal, but it was a turn up, okay? Which automatically is like red flag number one. Like, why is this big of a deal, this dude? It's strange. So at this point, it was my freshman year of college. So I was on campus one day at the college I was attending, and I got a Snapchat text from Turnup. I'm like, well, that's fucking weird. Like, why is he talking to me? And he mentioned something asking me if I was like going to class or like something like that. And I'm like, how the heck do you know like I'm going to class right now? Like looking around, like, is Turnup near me? Because he didn't go to college. Like he did not attend this university I attended. He didn't even live in the town of this university I attended. Like it's just, it was weird. And so I was really creeped out by it. Then I realized this is around the time that Snap Maps became like a thing, and like people could see where you are like on Snap Maps and like whatever. I'm like, okay, maybe he just saw my Snap Maps, maybe he's trying to start a conversation with me because he wants to be nice to me because I am seeing his friend, you know. I was like, okay, weird, and I stopped messaging him back on Snapchat. And then one night, I was hanging out at home doing some homework, and Apple texted me and he was like, hey, do you want to come over when you're done doing your homework and we can hang out for a little bit? And I was like, yeah, you know what, sure. Also, I should have mentioned this before, but Apple and me did not live in the exact same town. I lived in one small town, he lived in another small town about 10 miles away, but like 10 miles is like literally nothing of a drive when you live in a small town. All the other small towns are about 10 miles away, so it wasn't that weird that me and him like would drive back and forth to see each other. Anywho, so yeah, he texted me one night while I was doing my homework, asked if I wanted to come over that night, and I said sure, and so I began to drive from my place to Apple's house. And there's this one certain road you have to take from the town I live in to the town he lives in. It's literally the only way to get to that town unless you take country back roads. Like this one highway is the only way to get to his house. So I barely get onto this highway. Like literally there's like a stop sign you approach and you turn right, and that's how you get on this highway from like where I live. I literally had just turned right on this highway. I get a text from Apple saying turn off your Snap application. It asked me if you were coming over. And I was a little bit like, I'm barely on my way to your house. Like I could be going anywhere at this point because literally I could turn left at the stoplight and go like this way, or I could go straight at the stop sign and go this way. Like it's very weird that I just so happened to turn right and like he just automatically was looking at my Snap Maps and like knowing that I'm going to your house. Because for one, why is he even paying attention to where I'm going on Snap Maps? Like that's very strange. Like that's just, it's not his place to know where I'm going on Snap Maps. Like he should not be paying attention to where I'm going that like hardcore. And also for him to like know immediately when I'm turning down a road and when like, and just to know the direction I'm going in and know that I'm going to Apple's house is very, very creepy. Like I was so creeped out in that moment. So I get the text from Apple, turn that off. I instantly turn off my Snap Maps while I'm driving. PSA, don't go on your phone while you're driving. It's a bad idea. But I was so creeped out I had to turn off my Snap Maps like ASAP. Turn off my Snap Maps instantly. I get to Apple's house and I text Turnup immediately being like, why did you ask where I was going? Like, why did you ask Apple if I was going to his place? Why were you paying attention to where I was on Snap Maps? Like, that's creepy. Why are you doing this? And he instantly gets defensive and he was just like, I just so happen to look at Snap Maps and so you're going in that general direction and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, dude, but you knew I was at school the other day. You knew the second I turned down a certain road that I was going to his house. Like, you need to leave me alone. Like, I'm getting very, very creeped out. And that was kind of the end of it, honestly. Like, I just texted him that we had like a little bit of an argument. He said he wasn't like trying to stalk me and be creepy, but like he just happened to know where I was every second of the day. Yeah, not creepy at all, right? So yeah, that was kind of the end of it. I continued to hang out and talk to Apple for a little bit, like maybe another month after this, and then we just kind of ended it, and I was kind of glad to end it because Turnup was really starting to get the creeps because he was always asking Apple about me, always all up in our business, and I just felt really uncomfortable with the whole situation. That is the end of that story of my so-said stalker. Clearly he's not really a stalker. Like, if he was a stalker, like, we'd be in a bigger situation and I wouldn't be talking about it on the internet because that's not safe. But he just did some things that were like a little bit stalkerish. Like, I just feel like if you heard that story, you'd be like, yeah, you probably should never see that dude ever again. He probably should get a restraining order on him because he's gonna murder you one night. So yeah. So yeah, guys, that was it for my embarrassing dating stories. I have many more that I want to talk about, but I felt like these were like the high points. Like, these are like the best of the best. I do have a couple more that are like only a couple minutes long and they just wouldn't be like, you know. I just talked about 4 in this video, but I have many, many more because I'm a young single girl on the prowl and I just, you know, go on so many dates and most of them don't work out. So I have quite a few more stories I could tell, and you know, if you guys want to see more embarrassing dating story videos, I will be happy to film them because I thought it was kind of funny to, you know, unleash the past and talk about these things to a camera because it's kind of nice, like therapeutic almost. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please do not try to figure out who any of these people are and like send them hate and like bash on them or just like be nosy in any sort of way. Like, I'm just telling these stories for fun, so just leave these people alone, you know, like I don't want to start any drama or any shit with anybody. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe down below, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.